Welcome to Co-op Mode, round 145. This is the official video game podcast of Secret Friends Unite. We are sponsors of the Olympics. Obviously, we've been playing the latest Mario and Sonic Olympics game that I made up and I coded in my basement because apparently the Olympics didn't want to happen. But I'm joined by Mark the Canadian, who also was the Canadian advisor to the fake Mario and Sonic game that I made. So welcome, Mark. How are you doing tonight?
Thank you. I'm good. Usually us Canadians only get called in for the Winter Olympics, so I really appreciate the inclusivity of calling us in. I think given our geographic locations, we're the perfect climate to deal with summer games topics. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, of the Olympics games, I've put a couple of posts out there. Some classics. Summer Games by Epix back in 1984. Also Track and Field, if you remember that classic where you had two buttons. Yeah. We also had a couple of other PS1 games, and then we had the Mario and Sonic at the Olympics, many different versions, but apparently they've been replaced by NFTs and video games this year, Mark. So RIP Mario and Sonic.
Yep. Yeah. Those games were all right. They went so crazy with the last one of like that was the one that had like switching between 8-bit and like new style, and like they just went harder than they needed to. I appreciate it. I had fun with that game, but you have to think, maybe is that what kind of bit them? Like going that extra. Like, could they just release a simple like here's track and field, press A and press B. Here's some waggle motion for swimming or something like that you can do. Do the Wii Sports kind of arrow archery kind of stuff. Like there's a simpler game in there, I think, than the absolute insanity time travel shenanigans that they did with the last Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. Who knows? Maybe they were going to deliver a game and an assassin got them along the way and did away with them, and just that game will never see the light of day because it was covered up by an assassin. If anyone didn't watch the opening of the Olympics and see that Assassin's Creed assassin parkouring through the opening, you have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about. Go look it up because it was a wild moment and never really explained what it was doing there. I'm assuming it's because Ubisoft pitched in so much to help rebuild Notre Dame after the fire. Because they had so many amazing high resolution scans and details and blueprints and all that kind of stuff that they made it way easier. They worked with everyone and were just like, here you go. You have everything for free and it's ready to go. Let's rebuild this place. And they really helped it along. I'm assuming so. Maybe, but who knows? Maybe France is just a big fan of the series. I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm guessing Dr. Robotnik and Bowser just were pissed off at Mario and Sonic and said, no game for you. Such a shame.
Just as likely as my scenario, yes.
Yes, exactly. We just need like all of the fast food like mascots to come together in unity and, have games and for fitness, because that's how they sell the kids on the Whoppers and the Big Macs. Of course. And yeah, I think they'll be great. But enough of our conjecture about the Olympics, but congratulations to the Olympics athletes that are doing great. Congrats to Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg that are doing dressage coverage, like horse dancing. And those athletes that are doing breakdancing for the first time at the Olympics. You know what? Kudos to you, and don't break a leg. Mark, but we've got some awesome superstars here to congratulate. So if you could introduce them, that'd be amazing.
Absolutely. Gold medals for every single one of the people that support us over at patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite, where you can go and sign up for a free 7-day trial to get all of the stuff that we do, including all of these shows, ad-free, extra shows, different things that we put out each and every week, which is amazing. And you can join amazing people, such as our besties tier, Chris from 1H1D, who was just on a new Patreon show that we're going to be doing every month of just like us chatting, just us having a good time, with some of our patrons and listeners and that kind of stuff joining us, whoever can. And it was a fun episode. Good time. So thank you to Chris for joining us. We also have Derek Trevelyan, aka the Figure Dude over there, Francie XEP, and Charlie's Uncle Tim, who we email or physically mail cassette tapes of this show to, so he can listen. The Friends with Benefits tier, we got John Sedorf, Phoenix Sisters Cosplay Entertainment, Brendan Myers, Corey and HD, and Matthew Keel, as well as our BFF tier, the other person that joined us the other night, Sean Nias, as well as Stella and Henry made surprise little appearances and gave us waves and said hi. Again, it was a great show. If you haven't checked it out, go over there, check it out. You can, again, get exclusive shows, no ads, Discord benefits, all for as little as $2 a month. And Todd, you wrote it in here, so I'll give it a little thing. Our monthly new stuff. I just mentioned the SFU Patreon party and a new show from me, which I will be putting out another episode very, very shortly, called Walk Nerdy With Me, where I go for a walk and talk at you, because I don't have a co-host while I'm walking by myself. So there we go. Patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite. Go over there, sign up for a free trial, throw a buck our way. If you can't, that's okay. Just share the show. Tell someone about it. Subscribe on YouTube. Do all that kind of free stuff that just still goes a long way and helps, because, sometimes even $2 is a little too much. I totally understand that. So give us a like. Help us out another way. We appreciate every single thing that you can do to help grow the show, grow the Discord, and share some nerdy fun with everyone.
Absolutely. Check us out. The monthly SFU Patreon party will be put out in podcast form only for Patreons, because we got a little more adult for that show. We had a blast, though. It's always going to be a little bit different every time we do it. So join the show. Even just join for a trial. Join us, get all the stuff. Come on for that. Next one will probably be in September. We'll probably do a poll to see when people are available, because apparently Thursday is a bad show because a lot of people are doing podcasts and other things. So we'll pick another day for that works for everybody. Yep. Yeah. So that's exciting. Glad we're doing more stuff in year 2 of the Patreon. So enjoy what we do, and hopefully you'll come along for the ride. But with that, Mark, getting to Buy, Rent, Return. I picked the one that was related to a game that I think everybody is very excited about. Joseph Moran actually did basically a 5-hour playthrough of Outlaws, kind of like get to see different levels, the different worlds, the game type, and wow, it just sounds like it's a really cool scoundrel simulator. It's going to have stealth. It's going to have, space flight and combat. It's going to have weapons and actually like traversal on the ground with a speeder bike. And that's all we know so far. It's between, I think it's the last game, or it's the first game that's canon in between Empire and Jedi. So, we're already going to run into basically Jabba the Hutt is what we've seen. And they just announced today in the special edition or the season pass, you're going to get 2 additional story content drops. So I think this could be a lot of fun to see what happened in between those movies with other people that are kind of in the underground. So I know you're excited, though.
Very. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this game. It's going to be a fun one. So yeah, we'll see all the stuff at the end of the month.
So before I even went on a rampage about this new game that's very exciting, it's one of my most anticipated. It's already my GameFly Q Ready to Rock. That is Star Wars Outlaws. But before we get to play that, there's some games we played in the past. They're pretty good. And we always talk about the best of Star Wars, depending on what you like. So I picked 3 what I would say are some of the best that hit different audiences and all came at different times in different game types that I thought were all high quality Star Wars games. I could have picked other ones. I almost picked Star Wars The Force Unleashed, which was one of my favorites. But, a lot of people probably haven't played that because it was on, 2 generations ago. But I picked Jedi Survivor, which just came out last year. Great game. Was that our game of the year?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Great game.
Yeah.
Great game. If we're wrong, let us know. Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. I believe that was the last video game Charlie played. But
Mm-hmm.
basically, a new generation of Star Wars using the old storylines, but with new graphics and new capabilities. And then Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic, which
Classic.
I'll be honest, I only played a little bit of, and I've been
Mm-hmm.
waiting for a remake.
Yeah, and that's where it's tough for me because this is like Knights of the Old Republic is such a classic. I've played a bit of it. I am not as much of a fan as I know some people are just die-hard fans. They had some fantastic cinematics for this. There's some cool stuff, but I missed it when it first came out, and trying to play it now, like I have it, I've tried, but getting into it now is kind of rough. It's the systems are dated. It does definitely need or could benefit from a remake, or even a remaster. And we talked about this yesterday briefly of just like we were discussing topics for the show, and I said something like, I'm watching a video, like while you messaged me, I was watching a video of Star Wars Bounty Hunters, or Star Wars Bounty Hunter, the Jango Fett story, basically, that everything that I've heard from the review, and I haven't played it yet, but the review says it's kind of not really a remaster because they only changed some things and made quality of life improvements, but didn't really change the graphics and stuff. And we've seen that before with pod racing and a few other of these re-releases and stuff that like Aspire is doing. So I think they could even do that with Knights of the Old Republic and just kind of like tweak some things. But I also I think it could benefit from a full remake. But that's going to be my return, sadly.
Okay.
But the other two games are so good that I kind of hate you right now because they're very, very different. And it's really tough to choose because if you're in the mood, I have the Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga on both Xbox and Switch, and I paid for it both before it went on Game Pass. That's how much I love this game.
And it's coming to PS Plus in August.
Yeah. So that's how much I love this game. But for me, the place I've put the most time into it is on Switch because it feels very much, if I'm in the mood to play something on Switch, which is usually where I go for happy things, light things, handheld mode is a great one for this because you're just randomly going through stages or collecting bricks or trying to find a little secret that you missed the first playthrough, and you're just trying to do that. I love doing that while I'm watching something else. Sometimes it's a Star Wars show on Disney Plus or a movie or something like that, and I'm playing this in handheld. That's just a perfect combination of Star Wars. Jedi Survivor is more serious. That's my Xbox game. That's more, and it's completely dependent on mood. So, man, I don't know where I'm going with this. I genuinely don't. I don't have a clue because even Finn has been playing Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga, and if you've listened to the show at all, you know that Finn's love of video games has skewed which games that I like at any given
As a
moment.
dad, that's where your time goes because when he's awake, that's what he's doing. So that's what you're doing.
Yeah. However, my boy Cal Kestis, I was literally looking up how much it had cost me to get a full Cal Kestis cosplay from this game because I think I could pull that off and I think it'd be fun. And I'd 3D print a BD droid and that'd be great. Todd, you're killing me here, man. I'm going to return, I'm going to rent. I'm going to rent the Skywalker Saga and I'm going to buy Star Wars Jedi Survivor. My reasoning is I think I like Star Wars when it's serious, and I like that this fits into canon. So I think Jedi Survivor as a game is better for Star Wars, where there are other Lego games. This one's the more complete. Obviously, it's the Skywalker Saga. There's everything in there. We were playing a few days ago, and Finn was whipping through different characters from like the Bad Batch, and then Ahsoka And I was just like, this is amazing, because watching Ahsoka run through the opening scene where Darth Vader's coming through and trying to get the Death Star plans back and all that kind of stuff from Episode 4 was just wild. And having the Bad Batch there is just like, this is blowing my mind. I love watching this. This one could change literally before the end of the show. I could flip flop on this, but right now I'm going for buy Jedi Survivor, rent Star Wars Skywalker Saga, and my hatred of Todd has been renewed. Thank you, bud.
Yay! And all is good in the world. The balance of the Force. Good to see Mark actually is full of hate towards me.
Yes.
So I'll take it. My goodness, for me,
gonna make me light up my Darth Vader saber. That's how.
All right, let's go. Full red, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna drain your crystal. I'm gonna make it like purple.
Yes.
See through. What is it? What's the purple? The Nintendo purple crystal version. There you go.
Oh yes,
Or a Mountain Dew color.
Purple.
Yes.
I like yes.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, for me, this one's fairly easy. I have a lot of positive feelings about the Lego Star Wars games. It was really the first Lego game. My son loved them. And this was the great collaboration of all of the saga movies together. I fell in a trap, though, and I should have just played the new movies because I felt like I've already done the old stuff. So I really should have focused on that, where I kind of fell off. I'm like, yeah, I've done these before, because I really shouldn't have started where I've already gone. I should have literally played on Force Awakens and the new games, because that's obviously games I haven't played before. Because unfortunately, they didn't make any Star Wars games of that era, which is just a very, very sad thing that, we got no games from those movies where we got games from other movies there. So that would be mine, but just because I'd already played, the other Lego collections we already got years ago when I played with those, my son. So that would be my return, but that would be a great buy because you could play it forever, all the different things. So makes sense. But for me, that's where I land. KOTOR would be a rent just because it's more like a watch on YouTube to see all the story. Because I've seen other people play the game now on iPad. There's a great version on there. It just feels very dated with the mechanics and presentation. The story's great. It just is held back by its platforms. Originally came on the original Xbox. We're talking 20 years ago. So I'm hoping this remake that Saber Interactive was supposed to make is going to come out, but I think that's No Man's Land, and that's what I really want. I want to see that story told through amazing systems and presentation. So don't know if we're ever going to get that, but yeah, that's what I would do it, because I want the story, because I'm a big video game fan of Star Wars. And so that story is supposed to be amazing. And I know some of the turns, but still, hey, I'm all in.
Yep.
And then Jedi Survivor, man. Like I said, I love Jedi and, The Force Unleashed. I love those games, the first one and the second one. I really like what they've done, the presentation values, the combat, all the things they improved, and they didn't cop out, Mark. They didn't take away all your Jedi abilities. They didn't steal them like a Metroid. They said, you know what? You're cool already. We're going to make you even better. And it didn't hurt the game at all. It actually made it better, because I felt like, wow, it's honoring what you did, and what they did with the support characters. Fantastic. Great universe. I love the fact that, they don't lean too heavy into the cameos and the other people, heavily on the new characters and that lore, which I really dig. So I want more. Did well, so we're going to get more, and I can't wait to see what they do next, because we're getting dangerously close, I believe, to the original trilogy, right? Like, we're butt up against it, because we've got Darth Vader there. So the next game should be in the original trilogy area, right?
You would think it'd be. I think this game takes place. This game might be coinciding with the events of Obi-Wan Kenobi, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. So there's still a little bit of wiggle room there, but yeah, if they do a time jump at all, we're into original trilogy category. Close. So that's, I'd have to. This one's 5 years after the original, and the book takes place in between those. So yeah, we're inching closer.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
they did a 5-year time jump between the last game and the second game. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming it would be another jump, maybe again, and maybe it
Mm-hmm.
goes to Empire. Maybe they do something else. That'd be kind of cool too, because there's a lot of unknowns, a lot of things. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then maybe that gets
So that
us to where obviously we don't know if this character, what his fate is in the real world. He's canon, right? So yeah.
yeah, yeah. And slight spoilers if anyone hasn't played it and they plan on it, skip ahead like 30 seconds. This is your warning. 3, 2, 1. So where this ends, they're technically in. It's very similar to Ahsoka, right? Like they're in a different universe or a different kind of thing. They went through that the tunnel, whatever it is, that black hole, whatever. So this character, yeah, could technically exist
Reemerge.
coinciding with all those events, just like Ahsoka. They can explain her away by saying, like, she was trapped in this other place for many years and missed all of these events. Um, then they could bring anyone back. I'd love to see Cal Kestis in live action fighting alongside some people for something like the Thrawn saga or something else that any way they can bring him in. Obi-Wan season 2. Anyway, but yeah, the easy way to explain away the character is that he's out there or, in the background doing things and getting people for the path, right? Like, cause that
Yeah.
coincides with Obi-Wan as well, like that, the hidden path. So,
It's like the
yeah, lots of stuff they
Jedi
can do.
Underground Jedi Railroad
Yeah,
is probably the
exactly.
best thing to do. Yeah, refugees, things like that, or he could reemerge post Jedi when it is safe and come
Yeah.
back, and he could have a tie to Luke and his Jedi Academy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
They could bring
I'm
him
all
back.
for it.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like they could bring him back for, let's say like for the Thrawn thing that they're doing or rumored to be doing for, a movie or whatever set in that Mandalorian time space. Yeah, there's a lot they could do with that character and this that crew.
And since I don't get to talk about Star Wars that much, Mark, what I want is an animated series with Luke in his prime finding new Jedi to build his new academy. Basically that. And Cal could be like a part of that. He's like searching people. He's like heard rumors, and yeah, I would love that. Make it animated. Mark Hamill, obviously, his voice still works. Make it animated though. I would love it with a different style. Maybe even go like find the people who animate the old Republic. To make those CGI animatics. Imagine that, like a movie.
Yeah,
So beautiful.
oh,
Yeah. So
that'd be
there you go.
amazing. Yep,
Todd's wish, Mark. Make it happen.
I like it. I
Call
like
it
it.
Lucasfilm. All right. So that's what we've landed. Let us know your thoughts on this. I don't think I was too mean. I actually didn't pick a stinker in the bunch. Maybe I should have for Mark. I didn't put Yoda Desktop Adventures on here, Mark. So you know what? Hey, I'll take it. That was kind.
You know what I just did because I'm a sucker for punishment. I
Sure.
added pod racing for Game Boy Color, which I had the physical copy of and had never added it to like my RG35XX for some stupid reason. So I added that, I guess, to skip into what we've been playing for 2 seconds because this has been one of the things I've been playing. But I added that, but then I was like, you know what? I'm stupid. So let's add Yoda stories also for Game Boy Color and see if it's as bad as I remember. And it's not. It's worse. So don't play that game.
No, how could it be? Did they lie, Mark?
No, it's just so bad. It's such a bad game. I hate I spent money on that game when I was a kid. It's like you save up your allowance and you're like, Star Wars? Oh man, that's safe. I love Star Wars. And then it's like the biggest turd anyone has ever turded before.
Yep.
They gave it a generous 2 on IGN.
No, what? It's funny because as a kid, I didn't know anything better. I was at the store when I had my NES. I'm like, oh, I want to buy a game that looks cool. You know what game I bought? And I lucked out because if you looked at the cover of this game, you'd be like, that looks like the biggest pile of poop in the world. Mega Man. If you remember the original Mega Man cover art, it looks like an old
Horrible.
middle-aged guy who's like, I'm a space janitor and I don't know why.
You know what it looks like? It looks like AI art. Where like, because
Yes.
like if you were to like the guy, if I'm not mistaken, he has a blaster, doesn't he? Like a pistol. Like it's not even like
Yeah,
an
it's not even
arm
right.
gun. Like it's just it's completely.
It's not.
It's like one of those
Yeah.
things where someone is like AI art the Avengers, and like Cap has a shield on his head and a shield in his arm and 7 fingers on one hand, and Thor is made of hammers, and it's just like, what is this? And that's Mega
It's
Man's box art.
it's the game you order from Timu. That is not as advertised. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
So yeah,
fantastic.
we relied on a lot of just what does it look like?
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
fail because mom and dad weren't buying us like Game Pro or those magazines at that age.
No,
No,
no, not a
no.
chance.
So Mark, I was thinking about that because I'm like, oh, God, there were so many portable Star Wars games back in the day. I mean, you could play
Mm-hmm.
a ton of them, and then it'd be really like, what's worth your time, which are good, and now you can just try and just throw them away or delete. And you're good to go.
Exactly. Yeah, I love the RG35XX for that specific reason, is because I can go back and like play the ones that I love, like pod racing. Love that on the Game Boy Color. Awesome version of the game. Um, or just go back and be like, hey, remember when I paid for this stinker? I'm going to throw it on there just because I can.
Yep.
It's great. But also some of the games I missed. Like I missed the episode 2 or 3. I think it was episode 3 on Game Boy Advance. Holy crap, that game's great. I played
Oh,
that a
okay.
couple of months ago. It's awesome. Side scrolling, GBA kind of game, and you can flip back and forth between Anakin and Obi-Wan, and just run through droids and just do shenanigans. It's a fantastic game. Really good.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like all of like the Marvel games. There's like surprisingly some of the best Marvel and DC games are on like the portable systems. I believe there was a
Yeah.
Thor game that actually is done by like WayForward, I think, and the same thing with the
Yeah.
Green
Thor
Lantern
was
game. It's like,
great.
yeah, same thing with Brave and the Batman, the Brave and the Bold. Great on the Wii, and I think there was a really good portable version too.
I have not played that. I'll have to look it up. What was another one I was just playing? Game Boy Advance version of Daredevil.
Oh,
And
I did not know that existed.
oh shoot, there was something else. There's another one I played. Like back in that day, it was like while I was getting ready for Deadpool, I was rewatching basically every single old Marvel movie starting back, and in the X-Men, straight up Daredevil, Ghost Rider, just everything I could get my hands on and watch. I was watching everything. Um, yeah, man, so many games that were, again, yeah, like you said, ported. Just do a quick side-scrolling game on handheld and call it a day.
Yeah. The budgets were cheaper. They could really play around with this. They didn't have to worry about like super realistic art. They could just have a good time with them and really just make them entertaining. Kind of like Transformers, Turtles. There was
Yeah,
always decent versions on mobile
yeah,
versus the consoles, which it was like if you got a decent version on a console, you were blessed.
yeah.
So what else you been gaming, Mark? I mean, you were on vacation.
Um,
I
yeah,
know you've been playing Star Wars Heroes.
yes.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the big one that's been getting my attention. Um, they added Pirates of the Caribbean in Fortnite, which if anything's going to bring
Yes.
me back into Fortnite, that's going to be it. So I did all that kind of stuff. I didn't, like we talked about on the show the other day, the exclusive one. So a little peek into anyone that's not on our Patreon. One of the things we talked about was, did we buy all the skins and do all that kind of stuff? So I didn't buy any of the other skins, and we'll get to that, I think, in the meat of the show. So I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I did get the Jack Sparrow skin, which was great. I unlocked the skeleton version of that, which I thought was really fun, but didn't spend any money on Elizabeth, um, Barbosa, or Davy Jones. And I thought it was a weird omission to just not have Will Turner in there. Like, you're missing one character. Throw him in. Just
Just clean up
Oh,
Jack. Just clean up the art style for Jack. Clean
yeah,
up his
right.
face.
Like
Clean up his
throw a Will
mascara.
Turner hat on Jonesy. Like he's a
Exactly.
fairly, I don't know. It was a weird omission. Unless they plan on doing it down the road or something. Maybe they'll have, they've done pirate themed seasons in the past. Maybe they'll do it again, and he'll be like a battle pass kind of edition or something like that. But I thought it was a weird omission. But that's basically it, man. I've been very like very focused on my handheld gaming. So, like I said, just picking little things that I haven't played. So I was playing through. There's a Ghost Rider game for GBA and the Daredevil game. Like I said, just picking at those little things.
Yeah.
And while I was watching all of these movies, every single X-Men movie and all that kind of stuff, leading up to Deadpool and Wolverine. So my gaming's been very weird because again, and I wasn't home for a little while. So I literally just brought like the RG 35 with me to like, the cottage up the coast and stuff. And it was just kind of like relaxing. And if I was picking out a game, that was it. That was the style. Um, and then Star Wars Hunters. Again, we'll get into a little bit of this in a bit. So I will just say that season 2 has launched. I finished the season 1 battle pass. I thought it was an excellent first season, and I'm loving the new KX series droid. So the same kind of droid as
Is it
K2.
K2SO?
K2, yeah, in Rogue One. But I love that. I love the explanations for the characters in this game. I love how everything kind of fits and tells its own little story. So there's a Wookiee in this game in season 1. Wookiee's name is Graz. He fights.
Not Nookie?
No, Nookie the Wookiee would be great.
Oh.
So there's a Wookiee named Graz, and he fights with 2 big robot arms. Looks like KX droid arms. And that's what he uses as clubs. That's his melee weapon. He is a tank character. Very fun to play with. I like him. So that was fine. That was all well and good. Until you see Chaos, which is this KX series droid. And guess what? She's missing her arms. She has
Oh,
replaced them
nice.
with giant shields, which are awesome. So she throws the shields down, or she backhands you with the shield, which is hilarious for the backhand reference for Rogue One. But uses these shields and a shoulder-mounted gun. Very cool character to play as. Another tank character, but she has obviously a pretty hard hate on for Graz because clearly Graz ripped her arms off and now uses them as a club. And she's like, I'm here to get like vengeance on the person who
My
took
arm's
my
back.
arms. Yeah, that's basically what she says when she enters into the
Yeah.
game. She's like, has anyone seen my arms? I'm going to kill the person that took them. And then apparently, like Sentinel, the big stormtrooper with the Gatling gun, he's very happy because another Imperial remnant is in this game. So it's very like the meta and the story is very entertaining for me of just like these little like character interactions and like warring factions, like the, bounty hunter and the Mandalorian don't get along because they disagree on how to do things and the honor of bounty hunting and all this kind of stuff. Really fun little meta to the game, and the game's entertaining on its own. But if you want to dive deeper into that bit of lore, I like that they're doing it. And the hilarity of a droid trying to get its arms back from a Wookiee is just delightful to me. So yeah, that's what I've been gaming.
Mark, I really wanted it to go like another way where the droid has Wookiee arms, and then the it was an all in like response to another droid, and it just became like this big like there is the feud of the year where it's like you have like half the Wookiees have no arms and half the droids have Wookiee arms, and yeah, that would be amazing. But apparently nobody's asking me
Yeah,
for great content.
no, that would be a very graphic. I think for some reason there's a difference between ripping off organic living arms and,
Droid arms.
although in the Star Wars universe that would be hilarious because a Wookiee with droid arms, like as their arm, like
Yes.
prosthetic, like
Sure.
Luke has a prosthetic hand. I think that would actually be pretty hilarious. Yeah, like you took my arms, I'm going to take yours. So like season 3, Groz just has robot arms, and like that. Oh, I kind of want to see that. Yeah,
Yeah, that's why people don't like droids in Star Wars, right? They'll take your
mm-hmm.
arms.
That's right. Yeah,
They're like serial killers. They're like, oh my god, what are they doing?
that's just a
They're
collection
killing
of
all these people.
arms.
They're
Yeah,
taking all their legs. So it's like, oh, I got a leg. Why did you get that human leg?
yeah.
Don't pay any
Don't worry
attention.
about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, why does he have a human crotch? That's even weirder.
that's it. Yep, that's the
little odd.
That's the one.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
when Star Wars After Dark.
That's what I'm here for, Mark. I'm here
Yep.
to create fan fiction and sell ideas.
Yeah, that's it. I am not reading your C-3PO fan fiction.
No.
That is
Jay
just.
Filoni refuses to return my phone calls. I don't know why.
Yeah, I get that.
I like his cowboy hat. Oh well.
You've been playing a lot of stuff. What have you been playing?
Yeah. I've been like dipping in because I'm like, I'm trying to try some different things until the big games come out. Star Wars Outlaws, that's coming in August. So I've got to like buy my time. Like, do I get something into big or not? So I'm going all around. And one of the games I was able to play because I got a code from Luke Lore on Xbox was Marvel Rivals. This is a upcoming free-to-play game, live service. We're going to talk about this as well and all these things. It is essentially kind of like a hero shooter you've seen before, and but using the Marvel license in a really cool way. Essentially, a team of 4. You get to pick your 4 heroes before you go into the match. You're playing with other players. I'm not sure if there's bots as well, but you're taking on another team of 4. You have different objectives. So if you've played Overwatch, you know this game. And the versions of the Marvel characters are amazing. I think they're awesome. Like the Thor doesn't look like the Thor from the MCU. He looks like Thor, like a beefier version of an Asgard god. You get a funky version of Spider-Man who really does very, very well, flies and swings to with his webs. You get a cool version of Doctor Strange. You get Groot. You get Rocket, and Rocket's a little different. And they all have different playability. There's a Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch. I think there's like 20 playable characters. And they're just going to bring in more characters from license. You play as Bruce Banner, not the Hulk, which I think is hilarious.
Interesting.
He's like a scientist. Yeah, so I think I didn't get to play as him, but I think you do transform. Like it's like your ability is to transform into the Hulk. So it's kind of giving you some flexibility.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's going to be free to play. It's going to be coming out to, I think, every platform that's out there except for the Switch. It's Switch 2 maybe when it eventually comes. But it's fast, very easy to swap between the rounds and change your characters. And it's witty. The lines are fun. And it does a really cool mechanic of like, oh, you have synergy between certain characters. Rocket will go, if you're playing as Groot, Rocket will go on your shoulder if somebody's playing as Rocket.
Cool.
And you team up, and it's really cool. And I'm like, this is the perfect game to bring life to a genre where it's kind of stagnated because nobody's really, it's like Overwatch had it. They kind of fumbled, and it's kind of like we've moved on, made extraction shooters, other type of games. And now they're just basically saying, hey, put Marvel in it. Why not? Marvel has struggled to get a game out there past Avengers that really gets people in. I think this is a way to do it. It's free. Kids can play. I didn't see anything that was like, give me money. It might be skins.
Well,
it's probably going to be skins, like different versions of these characters. Yeah. And I think that's where it opens up because what does Marvel do? They have 85 versions of every character anyways. So it perfectly fits the license, and then they can open up, they can go deep and wide and weird. They can go into, Spider-Verse because they can touch all the characters from the comics, and Spider-Verse is deep there. Miles Morales shows up, get a team of spiders together eventually with Spider-Gwen. There's also Penny Parker, isn't it? So you get her like cyborg. It's great. I think this is a lot of fun, but it is what it is. It's not like, it doesn't do like significant things that would like, oh, it's the better version of Overwatch. It's just Overwatch with that is more the characters you love, which would contrast another game I'll talk about later that I talked about last week, which is Concord, which is a paid game with characters you don't know. And there's a lot of understanding of like why the model is a little different. But this one is going to come out broadly. Right now, it's the beta. It's closed. I'm guessing they're just trying to feel like, how does this play? Did it do well?
Yeah.
Are the characters balanced? And do you have like, I had a seamless experience. It went really well. So I can't say enough good things about this as a way to get people into Marvel characters when there's just not a regular 20-hour hero game right now until we get like the next Captain America game, which is supposed to be coming out next year, maybe with Black Panther and Cap.
Yeah.
Wolverine's still a while out, and it is funny. Everybody's joking right now with Deadpool and Wolverine. Why didn't Disney call up Phil and republish the Deadpool game that by Activision?
Yep.
You got a Deadpool butt controller, but no
Yeah.
Deadpool game.
Nothing.
So
Yeah. Just they hate printing money sometimes. Any standout characters for you? Like who did you find yourself enjoying the most for this with your time with it?
it's so dumb because the character I didn't want to like playing as, I like playing the most, and that's the Punisher, which is also like,
okay, all right,
really? Guy with guns, but
yeah,
he
well,
makes like, he gets a target, he gets like a turret as one of his abilities. Like, that is really cool, and you take him on, and he's very agile. But I mean, there were some other cool ones. Like Groot throws up like almost like plant like barriers, and you can shoot them down. So there's a lot of strategy. Like, this character has this ability, it makes sense. Like, I struggle with some characters because of the way they play, like the Mystic characters. Obviously, there's something to do with them. I just struggle with what. And then Thor is like a beast. He's really cool. But yeah, Punisher. But he looks cool. I mean,
yeah.
He's not like headshotting and killing them and maiming them. He's just, oh, you're going to respawn anyway. So it doesn't feel too bad.
He's effective. Yeah. You know what? And that's what I find with those games is when you're familiar with the license, like sometimes it's easier to go into these when it's not a licensed thing, because then you don't have like there might be an aesthetic thing that you're like, this character looks cool. I kind of want to be them, but I'm really good with this character. So sorry, I'm going to stick with this one. But like when it's something like this that's licensed, when you're like, I really, really want to be great with Spider-Man, and you pick Spider-Man and you suck, but you're really great with Punisher. It's like, man, Punisher for me is like a D tier character. I don't want to be good with Punisher, but like I'm killing it. Like, so sometimes you either got to get good or just lean into the Punisher, and and that's how it goes. Luckily for me with Star Wars Hunters, I haven't run across that yet. I'm really, really good
about it. Yeah,
with
they're
J3DI.
all new characters that are just variants, right, of things you kind of know.
Yeah, exactly. But like the J3DI, which I love, it's because like when this game takes place, most of the Jedi are dead. So they have a droid who was programmed to believe that it's a Jedi, and it doesn't have the Force, but like it can do Force pull by extending its arm and shooting out and then grabbing you and pulling you back. And it does have a lightsaber. But I'm good with that character. So I'm like, okay, I would probably pick a Jedi character if I could, and I ended up being actually good with it. But like, and I'm not like, I'd rather be a Wookiee than a Trandoshan, and I'm really not good with the Trandoshan character in this. And I like I said before, I like using Braz, the Wookiee. So it's like, so far this game has been really letting me be good at the characters that I like for some weird reason. I'm just waiting for them to release like some badass character that I'm like, yes, finally, let's go. And I absolutely suck with them. But I'm very interested to play this game now, this Marvel Rivals. I kind of want to test that out.
Can't wait till Yiddle comes up, Mark. He's the Yoda's half brother. That's kind of, he got long, greasy hair, wears an AC/DC t-shirt. He's pretty cool.
It's going to be fantastic. Just throws beer bottles. That's its attack.
Like, you kids are annoying. Oh my God. Leave me alone. Turn off your lights. Oh my God. So yeah, check it out. I believe, I'm not sure. I don't think they even given a release date, but it feels like it's ready to go. They'll probably talk about their model, and I might even be coming to mobile too, but very cool. Coming soon. Next, I played College Football 2025. So Mark, I'm going to ask you a question. Universities in Canada, what are the main like sports? Is it sports a big thing with the universities? Is it more hockey? Is it other events? Do they have like Canadian football? Is it a thing? I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I mean, there's still college sports. It's not
Sure.
as um, big in Canada as it is in the U.S. Mainly because I think there's kind of differences between like the sports scholarships and what you can do and not do in Canada. I can't remember offhand what the logistics are between that, but there are some differences. It's not quite as publicized. Where I went to school, they had a great basketball program, both men and women. Um, awesome basketball games, very competitive, like champs several years in a row, going like really strong basketball team. Um, Hockey used to be bigger, but yeah, they found it difficult to kind of keep people at the college level into hockey because at that point,
Versus
like
going
if
to
you were
the
playing hockey, you're going somewhere else, and if you weren't, you were kind of not playing by that level. Um, so yeah, it depends on where you are in Canada, I think, and what school you're going to. But for me, yeah, it was all basketball.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, this college football in the United States is just ridiculous. It's like a cult, quite honestly. And I grew up in Michigan, where there are two big teams. One is like the Yankees of college football, the Michigan Wolverines, and my school, Michigan State, which is like the Mets, which is like they're the lovable losers. They haven't won anything like in over 50 years, and you know, we when we beat our crosstown rivals, we're pretty happy. So I'm a big fan of college football, knowing that we're just never going to be great. But
Yeah.
playing college football 2025, there has not been a game like for like 13 years. This is back. They've got NIL, which is just the basically paying college players for their likeness. College players can go anywhere now through this portal thing, so they can go through there. It's like a professional league now. They're paying players, so it
Mm.
just feels like a junior league more so than just like it's amateurs, which is fine. So I really wanted to play this game. It's amazing the level of details they go into. The people they've paid to do all the commentary, Mark. It's like, how many schools did they have to do this? I mean, this is all like, there's a lot of schools in this game. So it's like, and
Wow.
I've heard phrases over and over again that I've heard repeated, but that's still pretty good.
Yeah.
And I'm not a great, like, I like sports, but I've never been good at games with sports. I like the
Right.
arcadey stuff like NFL Blitz or NBA Jam.
Yeah.
NHL Hits, any of those games that are really good. So this game is fun though, because they let you pare down the difficulty. So I'm playing rookie because I
Oh,
suck,
cool.
but I was having fun. So I played first and I like demolished the first team I played. I'm like, okay, let's see what's going on here. Then I'm like, I want to play a season. So then you basically can do a season where it's the road to the college football playoffs where you try to win the championship. And that mode is only online, Mark. That derailed me. I got destroyed. The guy
Oh
scored
no.
42 points in the last quarter. I'm like, what? Like literally,
Oof.
it was ridiculous. It's so bad. So I'm like, okay, this sucks. I'm like, there's a billion modes though, but I'm like, where do I play offline just to have fun? I want to destroy teams. I want to feel great. I don't
Yeah.
want to have my bad playing exposed by others. So I did find a mode. There's a dynasty mode, which essentially you can play as a coach and you can do as much as you want to like recruit players, or you can just
Mm.
play and have a good time. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm playing dynasty.
Good.
There's another mode where you actually can come up as a player and you can like go from high school, get drafted,
Oh,
and
cool.
and
Yeah.
then do all this stuff. So it's pretty cool. It's kind of like you can have that type of story if you want. So I think it's welcoming for people that are
That's
just
neat.
not good like me, and other people that are like, I want a more deep experience. But I'm enjoying it. My first game of my regular season, Mark, I won 0-70. I
Wow.
destroyed them. I didn't
Wow.
even try to be that mean to them, and I still did. It was horrible. I'm like, I'm not even trying that hard. So obviously it's being kind to me, but it's making me feel
Right.
good. So there you go. Michigan State. We're going to be the champions. I can feel right now, but I'm going to play like a game a day. It's like 20 minutes total to play a game. So I'm
Yep.
enjoying though. So I'm playing that
That's great.
just to go through. I'll probably turn the game back when I'm done with that season.
I've
The
got like
last
I'm
game.
sure
Oh,
I gotta correct myself too because we had a great soccer program too, and I completely forgot
okay.
to mention it because I watched more basketball than soccer, but I had some
Oh,
friends on the
okay.
soccer team. So if any like the off chance that someone's listening, like I'm gonna get like someone coming at my door and be like, "Yo, we met at CBU and I played on the soccer team and you completely forgot
What
me."
what
So I
what college was
apologize
it?
to
There.
like CBU, Cape Breton University. So literally
Nice.
just like the
Okay.
local school
Oh, sure.
up the road. Yep.
Great. It's awesome. Well, you know
Yep.
what? I hope they are listening, and then they can
Yeah,
like follow
exactly.
us and they'll
I'm
mock
gonna
you.
dash
It'd
like
be great.
running through my door,
Yeah,
just be like, "What the hell, dude?" Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, we need like some like beefs. Beefs create like listeners. Mark, we
that's
know
it.
that. So,
Yeah.
any people in a call out too while we're talking?
Oh, like call out like I want to start beef with them.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna call out. I'm gonna call out Jeff. You know what you did?
Okay.
Um, yeah, that's it.
Jeff with J or G?
Oh, don't get me started on Jeff with a G. I was trying to call out
Okay.
Jeff with a J. I'm not even gonna
Okay.
start beef with Jeff with a G.
Geoffrey.
Mm,
I
yeah,
gotta love him.
it's fight on sight.
Or Joffrey. Be weird if do you ever meet a guy named Joffrey? No, you don't, because they
No,
just
I have
no,
not.
no.
No.
They all change their name.
Yeah.
Lastly, Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon. Okay, played this. This is basically like a match game with Shovel Knight.
Oh
Very
yeah.
cool,
Okay.
very
I've seen it,
fun.
but I haven't played it.
Yeah. No, I hadn't played it either. I looked on Netflix because I'm like, oh, I got the Netflix app and they have Netflix games. So I'm like, okay. Oh, I downloaded this but never played it. So I started playing it. You can play it with, just touch, or there
Yeah.
is like regular controls if you've got like a any of the controllers. I've got a GameSir, and a lot of people all have the Backbone. So either way you can
Yeah.
play it. But it's Netflix, it's free. You download it, it's good to go. Netflix has been putting out some great deals on their games. They're for free, really good games, and this one's just a lot of fun. It's essentially you've got blocks falling, and so you've got to time it right, and they come down. You can hit rocks, you can hit enemies. If you hit the enemies, they'll hit you as well, so you have health, and then you can get potions. It's kind of fun. And they introduced like a puzzle knight as one of the characters, and a couple other
Oh,
new
cool.
characters. So but it's very fun. So if you got Netflix, nothing is stopping you from playing this game for
Downloading that
free.
right now.
It's
Yeah.
great. It's very fun. It's what I've been looking for, like for mobile games. Is just puzzle games, easy to do, play on the toilet. Don't worry about like saving state. You're in the middle of a big battle. You just play on. So I think it's great. I really am excited to see what this team does next, because apparently we're supposed to be getting some type of like N64 style
Yeah.
platformer. Which
Yep.
give me a Banjo Kazooie type Shovel Knight game. I'm all
Oh
in.
hell yeah. 100%. And going back to the earlier conversation, like I want it to look like crap compared to modern day. Like I want it to have that throwback style, like not look like crap intentionally. Like I want it to, I want it to look a tiny bit better than what they could do on an N64, but still have that N64 feel. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. What about like the remember when Xbox did Conquer and the Banjo games on
Yeah.
Xbox, where they polished them,
That.
but they
Yeah.
did the best they could because they didn't remake the games. They just made them look better, and I think
Yep.
up-res them a little bit.
Yep. That is
Yeah.
what I want.
I think
Yep.
that'd be amazing. Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I've played. So let us know what you've been playing, folks. We're getting kind of a lull right now, but there's going to be a lot of great games coming very soon. And before we talk about what's next, please listen to this ad. Hey, Secret Friends Unite, let me tell you about Zencaster. We use them for our show, and now they're supporting us. Zencaster is now the all-in-one solution making podcasting easy. It's the ultimate web-based podcasting solution. Provides high-quality audio and video podcast production and hosting. With a full suite of professional tools, podcasters can seamlessly record, produce, and publish studio-quality content, all from one dashboard. Being a creator has never been easier. And we chose Zencaster because of the ease of use. High quality output, and it makes it super easy for our guests to come on. We had multiple solutions we tried before, and Zencastr has just been the best fit for us. Why Zencastr? It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sounds and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. Have you ever worried what you sound like? Zencastr's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically removes those ums and ahs in your recording. It removes those awkward pauses in conversation too. Set the right podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with the click of a button. So if you're interested in making an easy, high-quality podcast just with the click of a browser button, go to zencastr.com/pricing and use my code SFU1. You'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experiences I do for all my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. Now back to the show. It's time for the bonus round, Mark. And the big thing right now in gaming is everything is erratic. There's nothing, concrete. Nothing is guaranteed. Games are taking longer. And the one thing that I feel like is becoming such a big part of gaming that we really don't know much about where it's going, but we know where it's been, is live service games. Live service games, folks, are, for those who don't know, basically they're typically free to play, and they constantly are putting out new content for you to come back, and they typically want you to either get a season pass or pay for skins or cosmetics to keep you engaged. They pump out a lot of content. They are very strong on mobile and other services in console and PC as well. And they are definitely an intro point now to many more people than the traditional console games of our past. You're a huge Fortnite fan. Also been getting into the Star Wars Hunters game. I was into Destiny, which is a little bit more of a different model, but still live service where it's a live game. It grows. A lot of the old model was multiplayer games, the massively multiplayer online games like World of Warcraft, which still exist, but a lot of them have gone away. We had like versions like The Avengers, which was supposed to be a live service game that was going to live forever, struggled and then died and goes away. So we've got a lot of games that actually are one and done. They die. So with that, Mark, kind of we're talking like, what is going to go next? Because obviously you're immersed in certain games. It's kind of like your everyday game. It's part of your gaming, life. Myself, I'm not in that place. But my touch point is in two games at this point: Destiny and Destiny 2. They're from the beginning, have continued to follow it for 10 years. It's one of the first more successful console multiplayer online games that continued on with your same character, different iterations, pay for different expansions, and go from there. The latest game I have tried, well, I already talked about Marvel Rivals, but the other game was Helldivers 2. I really got into Helldivers. It was Sony's first iteration on a PvE style multiplayer game that was Sony and PC, and has been very successful. But it's also been challenged because it's been out for 4 months now, and people are like, "Oh, it's losing an audience." And I'm just wondering, what is the future of online only games, live service, if you don't have the resources to continually bump out content to keep people engaged? Is it a failure? Is it a success? What guarantees it? So, Mark, with that, you come from the state of Fortnite.
Yeah.
Fortnite started off as it was going to be more of a online
tower defense.
Tower defense
shooter
game. You have to live a Fortnite, and that's what you're going to do. Yeah. Zombies were coming, and then they said, "Well, let's do we saw what PUBG was doing. PUBG was one of the first battle royale games. They said, "Well, let's try a mode that PUBG has done well, and we'll go from there." And the game has completely changed. Fortnite that's what it's known for.
Yeah, it took off, absolutely. And I've been playing since then. Fortnite, I think, had such a great model of for the longest time, the game was free. You could download the game. There was no competitive advantage whatsoever to getting new skins. You could look like Groot or the Hulk or some big burly character, or you could look like a tiny ballerina. And your hitboxes really, they did a great job at making the hitboxes basically the exact same. Um, there was no competitive advantage to those. So you could look like Spider-Man, you could look like Peter Griffin, you could look like whoever you wanted to, a giant banana, and just have fun with the game, and everyone is on equal playing field. Um, and for me, the way I look at most of these games is either there has to be a ridiculous amount of content that I'm feeling good buying the game up front and knowing that either the DLC is going to be really low priced or there's not going to be much. Like I'm getting everything kind of in that base, and like you said, with Destiny, something where you can kind of pay for the next expansion or do this or do that. I think they had a pretty good model that way. Or for Fortnite, it was, yeah, I'll drop some money on some decently priced skins, that kind of stuff. The battle passes usually had a big character, whether it was Deadpool, Wolverine, the Batman, whoever it was, like all these big characters in battle passes, Mandalorian, Darth Vader, like all of these characters came from battle passes that you can't get now, which is becoming a big problem. And I think some people are kind of starting to see that as like, well, I'd really like to play as the Mandalorian. They're going to release a new version. We just saw Wolverine and Deadpool being re-released. And again, we talked about this on the Patreon show. I didn't buy the new Deadpool and Wolverine skins because I have the originals from the Battle Pass. These new versions are cool, but they're also quite expensive. And as someone who's been putting more time into Star Wars Hunters and less time into Fortnite, I'm starting to see that kind of like, do I really want to put my money into Fortnite more? Am I seeing the return for these kind of expensive skins? Prices are going up everywhere. Fortnite's not an exception. But I think a lot of these live service games and a lot of these pieces of DLC and cosmetic things and that kind of stuff are the first things that are going to start really feeling that of like, well, I've already got 6, 7, 8 years worth of skins and stuff like that I can go back and pick from. I don't need a new variant on something that I already have. I don't need, again, going back to the Pirates things, I don't have a Davy Jones. Sure, that'd be cool, but I don't really feel like spending $15 on Davy Jones or 20 or 25 or something for the group or whatever it equals out to. Just because, again, I'm putting money into Star Wars Hunters every once in a while. I'm also saving for a trip to Disney World. Like there's other things, and everything's just more expensive. So I think the general feel for me is like that's I'm not the only one that's starting to look at that of like, does it really matter if I look like a cel shaded version of Wolverine when I already have 2 different variants of Wolverine in my locker? I think I'm okay with that. So it's, I like you said, I like live service games. I play, it's part of like my normal gameplay routine, even just the minimum thing of checking in to, usually there's a daily reward. Fortnite got rid of that, which again was one of those things that I used to log into Fortnite every day.
Sure.
That's not happening anymore. There are incentives now to log into Star Wars Hunters every day. They've got me doing that. I check in the morning when I'm eating my breakfast. Do I play a match? Not every day. But while I'm in there, I check the shop. I see what's new. I see what's refreshed. And, that's just kind of part of my morning routine. Like, I'm just on my own. I'm having my breakfast. I scroll through this shop. I get my daily check-ins. If I have some extra time, I play a match before work, and I either go to work feeling like a Mandalorian warrior, or I go to work frustrated and ready to go back and kick some Trandoshan butt. It's gonna, it depends on the day. But yeah, it's really it's a tough balance, and like you said, there's so much competition that you really really have to nail it and continuously nail it, or you can find that drop off hitting you very hard and very quickly.
So I looked. The Battle Royale launched for Fortnite in 2017. 7 years,
Well, 7 years.
and
So I've got
I
seven
don't think.
years.
Yeah, and I'm sure you could probably say, um, they've made changes to the game. They basically took away the building
Oh
mode.
God,
They
yeah,
created
yeah,
a non-build mode. They
yep.
have now added all of the Lego content, the festival, the driving mode, which
Yep.
was what
Almost like
is it called?
Rocket League
Yeah, Rocket
inspired
League.
kind of thing. Yeah,
Yep,
except
they've
racing
got a
actually.
deal.
Um,
Yep, they've got a deal with
yeah,
Disney coming, which we haven't heard much about that yet.
yeah, yeah.
Do you remember what their first license thing was?
Mm, I can't remember which one came first. I think it was a Marvel one, but
Okay,
they've done everything. I mean, they had Gotham City in the game for a little while, and they used to bounce back and forth more. They seem to be moving more in Disney's focus now. I'm guessing that's to do with the partnership, but yeah, like if I can't remember which one came first, but like they would have a Marvel season or a few Marvel skins, and then they'd turn around and they'd have a bunch of DC stuff. So I have everything in my locker. I can go in Green Arrow and the Flash, or I can be Groot and Gamora. Like it's my locker has everything from the past whatever 6 or 7 years, and I forget what partnership came first. To be completely honest.
they said heroes. I was looking at their history, and they had a hero themed thing back in 2018. They added the season
Mm-hmm.
pass late 2017, early 2018, and yeah, it just goes from there. And then they added seasonal content, so like a Halloween thing. So
Mm-hmm.
that is where Fortnite, I think, has a common mission. They are staffed to constantly change. The issue with most other people that come to this model don't realize what it takes to do that.
Yeah.
A great example of that would be Halo Infinite multiplayer. That's where I feel like Halo Infinite is a tale of two games.
Mm-hmm.
The single player is amazing. Great campaign. I loved it. My only fault for it was it didn't have co-op at launch, like even online
Yeah.
co-op, and then it
Yeah.
never brought in local. That's my only problem with the campaign. Still great, and I heard they had to scale it back. So I would love more campaign content because I really love that campaign and what they brought in with it. It was the multiplayer, though, when they offered a season pass, and they're basically saying, we're going to offer a season pass, but we're probably not going to do a lot for it, and then we're going to make our seasons really long because we realize we don't know how to do seasonal content. We can't do licensed content really. So then you got to be excited about, hey, how does my chief look? But it's also first person. So then it's like you're never seeing your character. So is
Yeah.
that a big deal? And then they don't release maps at a decent pace. And it's like, what is even going on? And
Yeah.
so they kind of miss the whole concept of if you want people to stick around, you need to keep them engaged with more content. And
Yep.
it's like somebody even mentioned, there's not even a way to play, I can be a chief, or I can be one of the Covenant, or I can be this guy. I'm like, that just seems like elementary. It's like when whoever's coming up with that idea, I'm like, you're going to do this, and it's going to be like, we're going to have a roadmap. So it's just
Yeah.
weird, Mark. It's like, I feel like, how do they not know this? As someone who would look
Yeah.
like, to do what they did, we need like 3,000 people, and we need to have, content every quarter. And because Fortnite, literally, they're on like chapter 80 million. And
Yeah.
what's next? We're going to blow up the mountain. We're going to have robots beat each other up. And And
We already
quite
had the
honestly, Fortnite can
robot, the
do that
giant
because there's nothing.
giant robot
Yeah.
versus the giant kaiju thing. We've had that
I
battle.
remember
Like
seeing
that
that.
was
It was
awesome.
so cool as a person that was engaged. I'm like, I want to
Yeah.
watch this. We want to have a concert with a hip hop star, Ariana Grande. And we put her in a game, and I just
Right
worry
now,
it's
it's
like
Metallica's in the game. Like it's awesome. There's Metallica all
that's
over the place.
crazy.
It's fantastic.
Do their guitars like shoot lightning or something? I hope.
Well, they're the featured artist in the like the music mode.
Oh, okay.
So and you can get the skins of all the guys in Metallica and all that kind of stuff. And then there's several places throughout the game. Like if you're playing in zero build or regular battle mode, there's
Yeah.
several places that are just playing Metallica music like all the time. Like there's a bus that drives around just blasting Metallica. There's different places just like blasting it through the speakers. I did also, while you're talking, look up all of the collaborations in Fortnite, and I was way off. Um,
Oh.
kind of. I said I don't know what came first, Marvel or DC. Marvel beat DC by like years. The Infinity
Oh.
Gauntlet was the first
Oh.
crossover.
That makes
Thanos in the
sense.
game,
With the
jumping
Was it
around.
Infinity War or was it tied to
Yep,
those
tied to
movies?
Infinity
Okay.
War. That was back in like chapter 1, season 4. So like 4 seasons into Fortnite, very, very early on. That was the first thing. NFL was the next one, all the NFL skins.
Oh, really? Okay.
Um, we didn't get anything from DC until chapter 10 when Batman and um, Gotham City were added to the map. We got John Wick and Stranger Things and another Marvel collaboration for Endgame, the Marshmallow concert, Air Jordan's Borderlands. All of that came before Batman
It's
and the DC
crazy.
stuff.
Then they had the comic
Um,
books, and I remember I got you the codes for
yeah,
that.
yep.
It's kind of crazy. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's I think of like Fortnite and Funko Pops are kind of in the same boat where they pretty much had every license. It's like
Yeah,
there you go, you get everything. So it's very hard to compete. Obviously, Call of Duty is probably their Warzone is the most successful like online thing.
mm-hmm.
Now, I know they offer like, oh, it's wrestlers and all these things like, but quite honestly, it's still first person mode. You're still shooting people, so they don't do a lot of like the creative things. They mainly want to get skins and things like that. Play around with some of the holidays, but beyond that, it's still just people want to play Call of Duty. They don't vary
Mm-hmm.
much from it. But nobody else is in that game because Battlefield. There's nobody else really doing that. And it's funny where we're going next is well, how many games have died? I mean, just think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Every game that you think of, they had that one like it was that one oh god, the game where you were throwing basically like dodgeball. I can't remember the game. That was a lot of
Oh,
fun.
yeah,
We had a
yeah.
dodgeball. I forget what it was called. Really fun. Died like very quickly. We've got that
Knockout
one
City.
weird we got that one weird Splatoon foam stars. It's there. It's gonna die soon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There was a Gundam game that just died after a year. That seems to be more of the norm than the successes. And
Yeah.
something that lasts more than a year is really a surprise. Ubisoft has
Yeah.
tried this how often? Failed. They've got X Defiant, which seems to be doing okay. There's the
Yep.
finals, which seems to be okay, but I mean, there's no like resounding like, have you played the finals lately? Apex Legends was a big success from the studio Respawn that
Yeah.
was successful, but that seems to even be declining, and they're struggling how to figure out a season pass. Apparently, those
Mm-hmm.
skins in Apex Legends, Mark, are like $20 a pop, and
Yeah.
it's a bad model, and they're making seasons that are shorter and making basically play twice as much to get the content. So it's like
Yeah.
it's really even if you get a solid gameplay, if you don't have a good model, you're just going to eventually fail.
Yeah.
The other games I'm thinking of, like Fall Guys, that was a big one up front when it was on PlayStation Plus. You got it; it was a big deal. There
Yeah.
were skins and everything. Do you even hear anything about Fall Guys lately?
They're doing a Star Wars collaboration like this week, so I did hear a little bit, but that was the first time in a long time, and it just came up because most of my Instagram is like Star Wars stuff. So I it's so funny that we're talking about this today because I thought of basically that exact thing of like, oh yeah, that's a game. Like
It's still around. Wait, that's still happening?
that's still around. They're still good for them. Still doing partnerships. I guess people are still playing. That's neat. Um, and then I thought like, oh, maybe I wonder if Finn would like that game. I wonder if it's worth re-downloading because like I
Oh,
haven't
he
played
would
it
love
in
it. It's
ages.
goofy and fun. Oh,
But like I'm wondering if he'd love watching like Yoda or something because it like the teaser image would look like Yoda
yeah,
or
they
potentially
look like
like
eggs, and they have
yeah
very little like. It's like
yeah
the customization is so like, okay, I think I know what that is.
yeah.
Kind of
Um,
looks like him. Yeah,
so I really wonder if you but my first thought was like, oh yeah, that's a thing.
it's crazy. I mean, and then the latest. I mean, we've heard like Bungie with Destiny 2.
Mm,
Um, they just laid off.
yeah,
Well, from Bungie, 400 of employees, 220 are let go. Almost 200 are going to a Sony studio because the management of Bungie basically created or they cooked their books when they sold to Sony, saying, "Yeah, we're worth $4 billion. Give us
yeah.
$1 billion to keep our employees whole." And they couldn't.
Mm,
They've had 2 rounds of layoffs, and from what I'm hearing, that no matter what the final shape did, which was the most recent iteration, or it was supposed to be the last expansion of Destiny 2, it didn't matter how well it did. They were still going to do these layoffs. And Sony's like, get your shit together. We paid this much for you,
well,
and you can't, balance your books. So, I mean, even a game like Destiny 2, which, Destiny since the beginning,
yeah.
they've struggled with, basically called burn, which is basically they burn through too much money. They burn through too much money based on the people that are continuing to play and spend on the game. You can't keep things
Mm,
afloat. I mean, goodwill doesn't keep your game afloat. Money does, and they haven't been successful at bringing in new players because, like I said, I've tried with Destiny. Anytime I try to play something new, it's like you get bumped into stuff that is just doesn't make any sense. It's a bad
mm,
experience for new players. Um, but I still want to keep playing. But I mean, I'm an apologist for Bungie. They're not the same team. Luke Smith, who is like an architect, is gone now, so I don't even know
yeah.
what that is. So I'm like, if a team like Bungie with Destiny, we're like, oh, they know how to do it. If they can't figure it out,
Yep.
that makes me scared. For like,
Yeah.
what are we going to be? What are these games going to be? And are they truly supposed to be lifelong games, or they should be the if you're going to be in this type of game development, should be like, if we get a year out of this, that's great. Anything beyond that, awesome. But we shouldn't be
Yeah.
like our careers are tied to it. And that leads me into Concord, which is another
Mm,
Sony Studios live service game that the beta came out, and this game looks like Overwatch. Like talk about Marvel Rivals, I'm excited for that. Concord I played, don't care, and
yeah.
I it's a knockoff. Looks like Guardians of the Galaxy. I didn't think that
Yeah.
anything felt like that
Great
special.
trailer. And
Yeah,
then
the
like the gameplay was just like the my personal hype level for this game, and I don't even have a PlayStation 5. So like my personal interest in this game was like, this looks really entertaining. This trailer is super cool. The cinematic's great. The characters seem like they have like some personality. And then it showed like generic ass gameplay, paid game with live service. And I was just like, who's going to play this? Like, tanked.
it's so bizarre because I would think
Mm-hmm.
that they would try to do what Helldivers did, which I think it's been a very
Yeah.
successful game, which was PvE, a team together, and you're taking on forces. It has a story, it's built in there, but you feel like you're going through something. You feel like you're getting progression. Where this is a basically start, repeat, do it again, and the rewards weren't that interesting. So I do worry and maybe Sony's like, oh, this is going to be the last one we're trying because, hey, this shit isn't working. And our Bungie advisors who are doing this for us don't know what the hell they're doing either. So maybe this was going to be our fail. Helldivers is our success. And they couldn't even make Last of Us 2, their multiplayer stuff work as a live service
Yeah.
game. They pulled that back and canceled it. So I'm hoping that means we're learning, and we're gonna just, we can have multiplayer, but make it interesting. Make it do something different.
Yeah.
Don't be like the last to the party, because the scraps and the benefit is so bad. I mean,
Mm.
Xbox has kind of gotten away from this. I don't know if Xbox is saying live service is going to be there. Halo's kind of like, yeah, it was our broad experience, and Nintendo, they don't have anything either. So I just don't
Yeah.
know if it works for a console holder to do this. And maybe it's just for PC, because we got like a game like Genshin Impact, Mark. That I remember when Logan played that. That game was like a gotcha game where you basically pay for,
Yeah.
you know, the hope you might get another player you want to play. That's been highly successful. That's primarily a PC mobile type of game, but it's on consoles, but it's not by console holders.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It
I'm
kind of
trying to think of
reminds me
any
like
other examples.
there's a
Oh, go ahead.
comment in our Discord group. Is BT Horan said,
Yeah,
"Oh
Brian.
Lord, this the state of live service games. The good gotcha games like Genshin, Honkai Star Rail, Zenless Zone Zero. Say that one 6 times fast.
Yep.
Withering Waves, gambling for characters you want with in-game currency and maybe USD if you have the extra money. These games have consistent patch cycles, usually 6 to 8 weeks. The other good is like League of Legends. Every 2 weeks, there's balance patches. So he likes things that, have that continuous kind of cycle, the same kind of thing. That exact problem that you said with Halo was like they just released the game and it was like, this is what you're dealing with for the next few months. Like I said, in Star Wars Hunters or in Fortnite, I'm checking the store all the time when I'm into those games. I want to see what's new in the shop. I want that exclusive. They mix it up so much. Even if I'm not buying, I'm excited, or I'm seeing something from NHL or NFL and being like, oh, I know someone that really digs that. Or I'm seeing something from a show and it's like, I know that's not for me, but my buddy Andrew might buy that skin. I'm going to message him and just be like, dude, did you see what they just added in Fortnite? And I like that, continuously patching things up. And it's one of the things I've heard a little bit of criticism or fear for Star Wars Hunters is, what's their plan? And right now, like I said, we're just at the start of season 2. We've got a new hunter, which is great, awesome, very entertaining to use, mixes things up, really, really well balanced. Everyone in the game's balanced. Again, they adjusted things based on what they were seeing in season 1, balanced that, added that patch for season 2 to make some of the characters a little bit better balanced, even though I thought they were before. And a new stage. We've got Vader's Temple on Mustafar, which is awesome. Very cool stage. But no new game modes. Last season, we saw like 3 days worth of Hut Ball, which I thought was awesome. But like, if you missed those days, this was basically just a 4v4 shooter kind of thing, right? Like they mix it up with different modes every once in a while, but like something like Hut Ball should be there on a better rotation.
Yeah.
Something like a PvE mode where you get 4 hunters and you have to work your way through a droid factory or a space pirate raid or something like that, where you get like, okay, cool, we're stuck on this planet together, let's get through it. Like, there are different things that they could do that, and that's like the biggest criticism I've heard so far is like, well, it's cool. It's the same like 3 modes where you're playing like basically capture the flag, moving capture the flag where the point moves around, protect the robot, or just 4 modes, like just fight each other,
Yeah.
So that's it. Like, what's the plan? Is it just going to be continuously like, here's a new stage, here's a new thing, have fun for 8 weeks, and we'll see you again with another new character, in 8 to 10 weeks or whatever? Like, if that's what they're doing, you're going to see that player engagement drop off. You need those new modes, those more cycles every couple of weeks, and that kind of stuff. Just like you're saying. So back to the Discord comment. They said the bad. Anything Blizzard Entertainment has done in the last 5 years, including Overwatch 2 and all the promises, PvE, partial, then none, and all of those lies. Can they be good? Sure, but a lot fail. So we've seen that. We've talked about that. But again, yeah, thank you for breaking it down. I completely agree. Any kind of like, especially when they promise stuff and then don't deliver, it's like, why? I guess I have to respect the Star Wars Hunters team because they haven't been like, we're going to have a PvE mode. They're like, this is the game. Hope you like it. We have a plan. We're not going to tell you that plan, but like the one of the lead guys on the game says like, yeah, they have. I forget what he said. Like it was something along the lines of like he personally has like a 10-year plan. Whether they get to
Yes.
do that or not depends on player engagement. Sounds very realistic about it. Like this could last for a year. It could last for 2. I'd love to see it last for 10. I have plans in my head, but we'll see where we get. And like that approach, I think is very like, it seems very realistic where a lot of these executives you hear, they're like, we're going to have a 20-year dynasty. This game's going to live on forever. This is where the multiverse is going to happen. It's like, shut the fuck up. Like just
like multiverses, right? Even multiverses, that fighting game from WB that it launched and everyone's like, oh, I like this, and it's like, oh, we're taking it offline for a year. Come back. I'm like, okay, it's back now. I've heard some good things, but it's like sometimes you only get one chance to make a first impression. You lose people. It's like now you put all that effort in there. That's just it just smells like layoffs and wasted opportunities. Like what could you have made that have been just a paid game that I would have loved? Like, ultimately that's why I worry. I'm like, a lot of people are going to go into the spot and it's going to leave more scars than, success. And is it all chasing chasing something that quite honestly only a few games can really do, and maybe there's only space for enough games to do it. And yes, we'll see games fall off. I mean, obviously there was EverQuest, then there was World of Warcraft, then Final Fantasy 14 seems to be great, but you don't hear a lot of other MMOs doing great. They're kind of like holding on. They're going to be staying there. And we did have First Descent, which I played a little bit of it, that I felt like it feels like a Destiny knockoff. But maybe that becomes the next stage of Destiny where people find that. But there's also been the one game that launched on PS4, and I'm blanking on the name. It was there at launch, and it has been a huge success. And it has it's like a first-person space game that has ninjas and things. Mark, you're probably like, Todd, what are you talking about? I can't remember the name of it.
Completely blanking on that one.
But it's been around forever and it's done well, but it has survived. So I am curious where all this leads us, and I'm hope it like settles down to sure, we're going to have a few core franchises that do this, but please, everybody else, stop chasing the dragon, because success is very limited and often very fleeting. And, you're like the big game that everybody likes and is enjoying right now doesn't mean you're going to be around for another, 5 or 6 years. And I do worry about kids and I don't know, your son's really young, my son as well. Often, are we going to lose people that are going to get into more traditional experiences? And we're going to lose those experiences that people want to pay $60 for, that are crafted experience. That's what I worry about. It's like, I want both, but I don't know. I mean, I worry that these people, these publishers and developers and corporations are going to be so greedy that they will destroy themselves rather than appreciate what you got versus what you don't. So it's going to be crazy, Mark.
I hope that, I hope you said don't chase the dragon. I think they're all chasing the whale, right? Like they're chasing that one big spender that makes the game worthwhile. And I think I'm hoping that it will hit a point where there is, like, if they make a game that has some heart to it, like, I think there's room. And again, Star Wars Hunters for me there's that feel to it, that it's genuine, that they, like I said, there's that bit of like story with the characters. They're telling that bit of lore inside the characters, whether it's the stages or the characters themselves or just little things in between the lines, that you can tell, like, they realize that, like, this faction and this faction does it. Wookiees are known for this, so let's make a character that's arms got ripped off. Like, that kind of little nods to the fandom, I think, are good. And they're trying to find their own little niche, especially where this game is mobile and Switch. Like most of these games that you've listed, including Marvel Rivals, you're like, yeah, they're skipping Switch. They're not like some of them are on
Yeah.
mobile, but
Not mobile.
they're
Yeah, a lot of them are not even a mobile. Yeah.
right. Like, and then you get the games like Genshin and that kind of thing that are on mobile. But this is different. This is like a hero shooter, mobile first Switch. Like you never hear a game that's an online shooter for Switch first. Like it's a really weird one. So it's carving out its own little niche there. And I think I'm hoping it's finding the success, and I hope they can kind of continue on with that plan. But a game like Concord feels like an executive decision of like, we need a hero shooter. Let's do something in this. Like, let's copy this and let's copy that and let's give it an edge, like like you said, like it feels kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's like anyone can make a cool trailer, but then none of that personality comes across in the gameplay.
Oh,
So like, I hope there's less of those studio executive spreadsheet make money. If we do these things and all of these
yeah.
things are checked off on our list, why isn't this making money? It's because the game's a freaking spreadsheet, dude. Like, put some heart into it. So I think there's room for a lot of these, and I think they need to realize that like, maybe not every game is going to last 10 years. Maybe not every game is going to make $1 billion a day like Fortnite or whatever. And like, that's okay. There can be smaller games, just like any other game. There can be smaller live service games. There can be big AAA live service games. And I think it's just like any other. We talked about GBA games that used to be kind of like fired out for like movie tie-ins. And some of them were amazing, but they were
Yeah.
smaller scale, smaller budget. They ended up on GBA because
Yep.
it was a little cheaper to produce. And like, that could be a live service genre of like, like smaller live service games. We know we're going to get like 1 million concurrent players or like 100,000 concurrent players on average, or 50,000. Like, you scale your team and your game and your development to that pocket, I think you'd be okay. Versus like, you see these games are like, we're going to be the next Fortnite and we've hired 40,000 people to work on this game and we're burning through cash. And it checks off all the spreadsheets. And that soullessness, I think, is not only bad for live service, but bad for like games in general. And live service is just. Do you watch Hot Ones? Do you watch the YouTube
I have.
show
Yes.
Hot Ones?
Yes. Yep. I have. Yep.
Great. One of the latest episodes is Vince Vaughn talking about, and one of the questions he was asked was specifically about like Hollywood, but it really ties into this of like, back in the early 2000s, Hollywood had so many comedies that like he made his career on, like Wedding Crashers,
R-rated,
Anchorman, and like
old school,
these like comedies that were like pushing R ratings or had R ratings or whatever, but like not franchise.
American Pie.
His answer was so great, was somewhere along the lines, some executive saw like what Marvel or superheroes or franchises were doing and was like, this is the only way we can do things. We can't take risks anymore because this is an established IP, right? It doesn't matter if you're making Monopoly the movie and it's like, oh, why did that fail? Well, you can't fail. Like, that's Monopoly. That's a big IP. I don't know. It's something else. It wasn't me. You can't fire me. I'm the executive. But like, I'm the one that got us Monopoly. It's not my fault it failed. Like, I got the big, like, Monopoly's been around for years.
Yeah.
And versus like, okay, no, you came up with like, this weird comedy idea that is a one-off, that it's a created soul, not an IP. And he said somewhere along the lines, people just got scared and like people want to keep their jobs and not take risks and that kind of stuff. And known IPs can be a little bit safer, or you can point the blame at someone else and that kind of thing. So I think it's kind of similar here, right? Like, you see, it's like you get those executives that are like, well, what works? Like, oh man, did you hear how much Fortnite made? Let's do a live service game. Cool. But for every like Fortnite, there's, 16 anthems. And it's like,
it goes away. I mean, I think
Yeah,
of like Disney Dreamlight Valley, the Disney
yeah.
Speed racing game that was free to play
Speedway.
too.
Yep.
I mean, I think Disney can do that because Disney is a free agent. They can go wherever and they want to put their stuff out there, and it makes sense. And they want to speak to as many people as possible. So a free model makes sense. Take the barrier away from a $60 game. Now, I worry about PlayStation, where they panicked. They said, hey, the most games that people play on our systems, we don't own. We don't own COD. We don't own Fortnite. We don't own these games. So if they go away, or you can play some otherwhere other than the PlayStation, where are we going to get our money from? That's all we get our 30% cut. So I think that where PlayStation is like, we need people engaged because our core games, people play, they're offline, and then they go away after like 10 hours. So I think that's where PlayStation panicked and said, oh crap, versus like an Xbox where a lot of their games are online. So they have a multiplayer element will keep people along and keep playing longer. So you do have PlayStation still making a marathon game by Bungie, which we know they're making it. I don't know about anything about it or if anybody's really excited about it. And also there's Jade Raymond's new game called Fair Games, which quite honestly, when I saw the trailer, I'm like, this looks like a game I don't care about, which is it's I don't know how much money they're spending on this game too. So it's like all that money that they put into these things, what could they have done with that money to make a different game, another Ratchet and Clank, another new IP? That would be amazing. And yeah, that's what I scare. It feels like we pivot and we take things away from the true geniuses, the people that make games that are just amazing and take and elevate the franchise, versus it's just another place to spend your time when you're on the pod or want to chill out with a beer with your buddies. There's other games that do that, but we need to be better. So that's what I want. Nintendo hasn't fallen in the trap. They walked away from mobile. Xbox seems like they're not going back into that model, at least for now. But I mean, they have King to do that anyways for them, that they don't have to waste studios on it. So I am worried about Sony though the most, because I feel like they have the biggest place to go, because I feel like they don't have enough in the future with their IPs to keep people engaged and maintain the profit they've enjoyed over the years. So I think that's where I land. So with that, Mark, I don't know where we're going to be. I don't know what Finn's going to be playing in the next 10 years, but I hope he enjoys crafted experiences that give him stories he will enjoy and make him the person you are, like we had as kids, versus it's just disposable experiences that quite honestly, it's just basically it's some to fill your time versus make your time better. I don't know. Am I old? Do I know? Are the kids wrong? Am I right? Or am I wrong and the kids are right?
Maybe for everything. Who knows?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Good chat. I don't know. There's no no online games I'm looking at where I'm like, oh, I really want to play those. So, but I know a lot of people are really excited about that. What's next with Warzone, all the different experiences. So there we are. If you disagree with me, let me know. Thank you, Brian, for coming on, with your comments. We appreciate that. We want more comments in the future. But Mark, we are done. We have learned, we laughed, we loved. I believe it's time to end the show. Time to go to sleep and rest up and come back in 2 weeks. So go USA, go Canada. Mark, tell people where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter mostly as Canardian_Jedi, or hanging around in our Discord channel.
Awesome. I'm at Yoxtra at Secret Friends Unite on Threads. Check out our Discord. Check out our website. Check out our YouTube channel. And, stick around. We're having a good time. Our Discord, we're always looking for people to talk about fun stuff. So check us out there. So remember, folks, it's always better to game together.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and podcast services around the galaxy, as well as video on our YouTube channel. You can support Secret Friends Unite by becoming a Patreon member, get bonus programs and more over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Join our Discord community for even more discussions on all things geek. For all the latest updates on Secret Friends Unite, make sure to follow us on Threads at secret.friends.unite and visit secretfriendsunite.com. Find our merchandise at TeePublic and Redbubble. Thanks for listening, and may the Force live long and prosper.